Hello, my name is Derek Todd from Deaf Scotland. Welcome along today. We've got a guest with us. Please introduce yourself. Hello there, my name is Grant Ferguson. I'm an SNP councillor for South Lanarkshire Council. And I'm really proud to represent my own town of East Kilbride. I'm profoundly deaf and use BSL. Fantastic, Councillor Ferguson, or is it okay to call you Grant? You can call me Grant, Derek. Thank you. Well, thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. I know that your time is precious as you're a busy man. So here we're talking about the 5-year anniversary of the BSL Scotland Act 2015. Can you believe it? 5 years. Let me start by asking what your involvement in the British Sign Language Act 2015 for Scotland has been in terms of the language aspect, the development of the bill, national and local plans. What involvement have you had? Yeah, so I've been involved in a few consultations, some of them being online, such as on Facebook. There was a lot of dialogue there. I submitted a lot of my recommendations as well, for example. I did that to make sure that the bill or the development of that bill was strengthened and, you know, it just put in my point of view, which I felt was valuable. I feel deaf people, when you're picking up language and information via BSL, it's a better way to share ideas. Lots of minds are best to come together and to achieve this, which is obviously what's happened. But everybody's coming from different backgrounds, which is great to see that collaboration. So that was my starting point there to make sure my information was across. Well, thank you for your contribution and everything that you have added to that, Grant. You may remember the Act being passed on the date of Thursday, the 17th of September 2015. Where were you on that day? And if I can ask, why is it a historic moment to you? Well, how can I forget that day, Derek? I planned to go along and be in the gallery in the Scottish Parliament from day one, you know, but it was just unfortunate that one of my car tyres was flat that day, so it intervened in my plans to get there, and unfortunately I couldn't do that. Had to sort out the car, so I was a bit deflated, like my tyre, after seeing that. So I did miss out in being there, but still I was overwhelmed that, you know, the fact the bill was passed unanimously and you know, not one single MSP disagreed with it. They all were behind it and supported it, and it was very emotional because it's such an important thing to us. And I felt finally we've achieved what we've set out to do, and this is just like Scotland. You know, it felt like us winning the World Cup. Oh, maybe that's a bad example. Maybe we finally qualified for a World Cup. I'm sorry you couldn't come, Grant. It's just unfortunate, and the gallery was absolutely mobbed. You know, you would have found it difficult to get a seat anyway. But you're right, like many other people, you were watching online. It was on YouTube, Scottish Parliament TV as well. So I have to say it was a fantastic day and something we still talk about now. And when we do, we get goosebumps. You know, we get the wee shivers whenever you think of it. And you know, it's a very emotional thing. So. Oh, and I can understand that, Derek. So we're at 2020. It's been 5 years since that day. Can't believe it. What's it meant to you in these 5 years? What kind of impacts it had on you? Well, I can see for a start that services are gradually improving. That's happening around us there. Lots of awareness now about BSL and information in BSL. It's not perfect, but it's certainly grown in stature. The door is finally opening, where deaf people can participate and be involved in things as well, which is a great opportunity. today, you know, in comparison to before, deaf people weren't able to do that because of, you know, the lack of awareness and access to the language. But it's now far better. There's certainly recognition of BSL and the fact that deaf people use this every single day. So to see that is just astonishing in comparison to the past. There's more and more recognition now for sure, and hopefully that continues. For me, I'm wondering what kind of impact it's had on you personally and professionally. If you think about not having the act, if that didn't go through, do you think you would have had the support that you've had to become a counsellor? Possibly. I mean, with the act, it's made sure that, you know, the recognition is there, giving me the equal platform to promote myself. It's, you know, a part of Scotland now where a lot of people are seeing the language, which I think's helped. It's been able to allow me to have the support to have a budget to pay for communication support as well, which might not have happened in the past. So once that was included, you know, there's been a lot of recommendations that I can use on the back of the act, and particularly focusing on the language itself. So lots of elements have changed in a more positive way, and you know, we've planted a lot of seeds that have started to grow. So yeah, being a part of that is fantastic, and to see that they understand that the language is and access to the language is fantastic and very important. Without that, I wouldn't be a counsellor, and I probably wouldn't be here talking to you right now. So yeah, fantastic. Well, I know, Grant, that you're the first BSL user to become, you know, a counsellor here in Scotland. I've tried to look into it, and yet I couldn't find anybody else who their first language is BSL who has become a counsellor. So thank you. That's been over a year since you've been elected, and again, that's flown as well, I'm sure. But it must be hard work, you know. You're deaf, you're a sign language user, you're a counsellor, you're within South Lanarkshire Council's chamber having those discussions and debates. Well, Derek, you know, let me go back to how I was elected, where I think a lot of the recognition was finally, you know, the penny dropped. It wasn't until I was given my speech using BSL and having that voiceover that everybody was looking and thinking, oh, I didn't realise. For me, it was all about breaking down those barriers and changing the perception of people. You know, it's almost like I had to go every Saturday morning to like a jury, and I would have to explain that, you know, I've got an interpreter here. They would be a bit reluctant, you know, and it was just a form of education. And, you know, I had to explain to them, well, this is what I need to be able to engage with you and continue to communicate with you going forward. And it was a bit of confidence building for me and for them, and awareness raising for them. So within my district, you know, whenever I'm in meetings and have interpreters in the room, the awareness is just growing every time I do that. So BSL is now inclusive to me in that aspect. So it's a positive. What an example that is, Grant. Thanks for sharing that. That's great to see that you know, it's benefited you, and you've obviously had that full access and gave us some tips there. So that's brilliant. Thank you. So looking ahead to the future, maybe it's the next year or 5 to 10 years. What's one thing that you hope to see happening next? It's a great question. I've had to mull over this one for a while before coming up with my answer. I've noticed that as a BSL user myself, I regularly use communication support such as interpreters, and how that affects my role as a counsellor within South Lanarkshire Council and my ward here in East Kilbride. So having the access to that, you know, there's loads and loads of people who I need to engage with and communicate with, and particularly, you know, there's barriers such as online. I use Microsoft Teams and Zoom to access meetings, and it's now, you know, a lot of attention is on that communication support that I'm having to provide. A lot of people are now coming forward and saying they would like to learn a bit of BSL, and they're open to the idea of using it, and they recognise it as a language now. You can tell, in their body language and their facial expressions that they're engaging with it, and they understand that that's a massive part of the language. So I think that's great. Wow, it looks like you've opened a lot of doors then. At the same time, you're building up a lot of networks and connections there with different political parties. Well, if I can just go back to that question you asked in terms of the future, and something that you actually want to see happening, again, it's a very tough one, but I would have to say I want BSL put in the educational curriculum. That for me is key. I mean, my concern is that it's important we have BSL developed at school level. It has to be on the curriculum because, we've already got spoken languages such as French, Spanish, and German. They're all there. And, why can't we have BSL? I don't see a reason not to have it. And it's important for those members of the community that use BSL. And, to have more people signing can only benefit everyone. And it will open a lot more doors for everyone else. And you never know, we might have more interpreters in the back of that. So it's a key point for me that we begin at that root level, and it'll provide a lot of access for the people of Scotland, and hopefully, as I said, increase the numbers of interpreters. More resources will become available, things will become more accessible because people have that knowledge and awareness. So we need to continue to promote that model of inclusivity and making sure that it's inclusive to all, and to promote, that everybody is engaged. Fantastic. Thank you, Grant. What an answer. A lot of food for thought there, that's for sure. A lot of good points. And you're right, we do want to see BSL on the educational curriculum. Not even just in school, but from preschool level, starting nursery. Kids are wee sponges at that age, and they're already gesturing, or using other forms of sign language. So, yeah, why not? Just kind of next question I've got there is if you had a magic wand, let's say it's Harry Potter's wand, what's one thing that you could do to make sure that on a daily basis BSL users are fully included in society and treated as equal citizens? Well, I've already mentioned that I'm a BSL user. I use the language every single day. That's how I communicate. I work with interpreters every day in my role as a counsellor. So having that participation is fantastic, and it allows me to carry on and do my job without more communication barriers or a breakdown in communication anyway. If there's face-to-face meetings, it's crucial that I have that access to communication. That's how I communicate. That's how I have the power to express myself. So that for me is the key, and I can be fully involved just like my hearing peers and fully understand each other. I still to this day meet so many people that are frightened to communicate with me, and it's trying to relax them and say, look, I'm a human being and so are you. Let's find a way to communicate. We've all got the same limbs, we all live the same life. It's just a language that's different, and we figure that out. But a lot of people are getting to know me throughout not only the community, our members, and in my role as a counsellor, and it's increasing that awareness. It's a learning process. We've all had to start somewhere. Certainly since me becoming a counsellor, it's really had an impact on other MSPs. The fact that I can do the job for a start, all I need was that little bit of support from communication, but I can do the job just like anybody else. So as I say, that's key, that I had to do it, and I had to keep going and show people that I'm totally capable of doing this, and I'm equal to everybody else. The only difference I've got is I need an interpreter to communicate every day. That's it. Well, you've mentioned that MSPs and I'm sure MPs as well, raising awareness there about communication for BSL. And obviously, we're going through a global pandemic at the moment, with COVID-19. So your work life must have turned upside down. You're so used to having that face-to-face interaction, and Now it's digital. You know, you're working from home or keeping your distance. Well, Derek, let me say, I mentioned earlier the use of Microsoft Teams and Zoom. And initially, you know, when I'm joining committee meetings, for example, or full council meetings, I thought about it and thought, how can I engage? This coronavirus has completely flipped my ways of work upside down. The face-to-face work has totally disappeared. You know, I'm so used to working with interpreters on a daily basis, and now I'm having to do it on screen. And to work with two interpreters on screen is increasingly frustrating as well. So, but I was adamant that I was going to continue to be involved. The council actually asked me, can I have live captions as well? You know, when people talk, and I thought I'd give it a go, but I didn't think it would be appropriate because of various reasons, accents, and all that. So I had to just put my hand up and say, no, I'm going to need BSL interpretation there. And I gave it a go. I went through the different options. So it depends on things like picture quality as well, or connection speeds, all these kind of stuff. But most of my experience has been very positive. There's the odd wee glitch there, or the hand will become blurry and I have to ask to repeat. But I've got two interpreters, so they co-work pretty well. And if there's an issue with one, the other can step in, because you're passing motions, for example, during meetings, and these are votes, and I need to be involved in that. It's a lot of concentration, and it's very tiring. You get fatigued quite quickly when you're online. Everything's on a screen. Your eyes are focusing a lot more, so you need eye breaks, and to switch between the interpreters. I can't miss anything. But I have to say it's worked well so far. I just have to adapt in how I work. And yeah, it is better now. But the key message here is that I've got access, and I've got full access. Oh, Grant, I have to agree with you. Working online, such as today's platform of Zoom, it's hard work, and I'm sure it's hard work for the interpreters as well. There's that, you don't have that 3D interaction with the person, or you might miss some key body language messages. Let me add in there, Derek, that for the hearing community, when they talk, it automatically changes the screen to the speaker. But I'm a sign language user, so how does that work? These are the sort of barriers we've been facing. As soon as the system recognises a voice, it automatically changes the screen to that person's image. And I remember I was in one meeting. It was like an equality forum for the SNP one night, and I was given a presentation, and I'd said to the convener, good to go, I'm just about to start. And as soon as I started signing, I could see myself, but I had to watch the interpreter as well, just to make sure that they're on track, or if the interpreter needs to interrupt or ask me to repeat a point. And I thought, how's this going to work? I can only see myself. It was very strange. It felt like I was talking to myself. So it's these wee things, that you don't think of. I had to pin the screen to make sure that I had the right person on the screen that I needed. I pinned my two interpreters on the screen. So it's learning these small things that make it work. And it's been fine since. So it's just a wee funny story there. Thanks for that, Grant. I really appreciate that. There's no more questions for today, but what I would like to say is good luck. I hope that you are selected to become an MSP candidate for the Scottish elections next year. Oh, it's a lot of competition, Derek. I appreciate that, but a lot of competition. Yeah, no, good luck to you. Derek, if I add, just going to the Scottish Parliament for vetting, that's all been passed, and it's a long journey. So we're on to the next step, and my name's in the hat. So we'll see what happens next. But anyone, it's anyone's guess. Listen, Grant, I'll be keeping a close eye on it and make sure I follow it. And I wish you all the best with that, because I know, the amount of work that you've done, all the news and reporting that you've delivered as well, not only just for deaf people, but for your constituents in East Kilbride as well. So congratulations. Thank you, Derek. Thank you. And I hope that, I can help the deaf community as well in terms of raising awareness and showing them that I can do this. so can you. You know, I want to be a positive role model there. As long as you work hard, just like everybody else, that's all you need to do. You can achieve your dreams if you just focus and take it step by step, and you'll get there. You will get there. Even if you've got, an ambition and you feel the doors are closed on me, there's always another door that can be opened. There's a way around it. So don't give up on that journey, and you will get there with hard work. Some of these doors that you find you can't open, that's okay. You need to accept that, because the door next to it's going to open for you. And as I said, you just keep going through that process. Work hard and you'll get there. So that's my kind of message. Hard work makes you get there. Fantastic, Grant. All the best for the future, and I hope that we see lots more of deaf or hard of hearing counsellors here in Scotland. So I look forward to that day. Grant, again, thank you. Thanks for your time, your contribution. It's been fantastic just talking to you here today. And thanks to your interpreter, David Milligan, here as well. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye now.